Khiron Life Sciences Corp is a Latin American-based pharmaceutical company that develops and commercializes medical cannabis products. Khiron has core operations in Colombia and is fully licensed in the country for the cultivation, production, domestic distribution, and international export of both THC and CBD medical cannabis. In May 2018, Khiron listed on the TSX Venture, becoming one of the first Colombian-based medical cannabis companies to trade on any exchange globally. Khiron Life Sciences Corp is listed on the TSX Venture under the ticker symbol KHRN.
I'm joined in studio now by Joe Mimran. Joe, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Good to be here.
Yeah, Joe, you recently joined the board of Khiron Life Sciences, and your presence in the cannabis sector, you've revealed, is not new as of that, and you were actually a participant in a much earlier deal.
Oh.
Tell me about how you first got involved in cannabis.
Got involved in 2004. It was a company called Canisat, and I was one of 3 founders. And it was very early days, and it was the we had an arrangement with Prairie Systems in Flin Flon that had the only license to grow in Canada for medical purposes, and it was a very cumbersome system back then. You know, you'd have to get a doctor's prescription. It would have to go out to Flin Flon. It would get filled, and there was a whole process. And at the time, we were really, far too early because the market gave it no attention at all. And that can happen. It can happen in the fashion game. It can happen in business where you see a seam in the market, you see an opportunity, but the market is not there yet. And it morphed into being a pharmaceutical-led business. It turned into Synapsis, and then there was a successful exit. So, sure. But that was my first taste for it back in 2004.
So you did that while you were busy creating iconic brands in the fashion space.
Correct.
Sung, Club Monaco. I actually was just in conversation with my associate. I've got 2 hats that I bought from Club Monaco, which were those giant furry things.
Yes,
with the big ear flaps, and I wear those every winter because they are, in fact, the warmest hats in my house. But so tell me, is it the expectation of Khiron that you're going to bring that sort of brand and marketplace development expertise to bear on Khiron's?
Yeah, I think that's where I can really add a lot of value to Khiron, is to help them in thinking that through. And certainly, when you look at how the industry is going to move forward, it is going to become not just a pharma play, not just a recreational play, but then it will be more of a CPG, a classic CPG play. So how you brand your product, how you go out to consumers, how you speak to them, I think will be very important. There's a million CBD oils out there today. How do you distinguish one from the other? So you either have to have some science that really distinguishes it, or you're going to have a brand that really resonates with the consumer. And for some people, that whole idea of brand development, there's a lot of magic that goes into it. It's a bit of a black box as to how that gets done. It's what I've been doing my entire career. So. Right,
interesting. So then, do you find that the sort of global legal patchwork when it comes to the legality of cannabis, particularly in non-medical, recreational, cosmeceutical brands, do you find that a bit of a challenge in developing a plan for a global rollout?
Definitely. I think that is probably one of the biggest challenges, but it's also what gives these companies an opportunity, because if it wasn't for those hurdles, you would find the big players would get involved and they would crush the small guys. So here's an opportunity to actually get involved and get ahead of the market before you're faced with competition that would roll you over normally.
What about the future for hemp clothing? I mean, hemp clothing has existed as a sort of novelty item.
Yeah, hemp clothing never worked. It never worked. They've been trying the hemp clothing thing for a very, very long time. There will be obviously a real big supply of hemp byproduct,
right?
Certainly as hemp farming. So perhaps it'll gain some more traction. But historically, hemp clothing has not meant very much in the market.
So among all of the non-medical applications for cannabis, cosmeceuticals, foods, beverages, etc., where do you see the greatest opportunity for uptake by the average consumer?
Yeah, I think there's going to be, there's a few places that I see it. I see it, first of all, in the cosmeceutical side. I think as it relates to beauty and skin treatment, I think that will be a very, very big area. I think pain relief obviously is a huge area. I think there's a pharma pain relief direction, and then there's just an over-the-counter. And when you think about the amount that is sold over-the-counter for pain relief today, it is $100 billion plus market that can easily get attacked by a more natural, more effective product. So I think you're going to see a lot of development in that area. And then the beverage area, I think, is trickier. I think onset, the issues of onset, the issues of bioavailability, shelf stability, flavor, all the masking agents that are used to hide some of the flavors. I think that will be a bit trickier. And I think the onset time, anytime you get into edibles and that, although that is starting to really look like a very, very exciting area as well. But at the end, it's all going to be, consumer products. You're going to need brands. You're going to need distribution, and they will follow a normal suit, depending, of course, on the regulatory issues.
Sure. You started the brand Club Monaco in Canada, and it eventually became 150 stores across Asia, the United States, before you sold it to Ralph Lauren.
Yep.
What needs to change in the Canadian regulatory landscape before you can replicate that sort of rapid success in market penetration that you achieved?
I'm not sure you can effectively build a brand in Canada in this space currently.
Due to the limitations of
due to the limitations. I think you can play at the fringes of it, but if you really truly want to build a brand, I think it's going to have to be in the CBD space in particular. It's going to be in the United States, because there are no regulations in terms of crossing state lines, and yes, there are regulations in terms of packaging, but not in terms of building not in terms of building a brand. So, to me, the U.S. is really where the brands are going to emanate from.
Okay, so now in the case of Khiron, their focus is primarily Latin America, but secondarily global. Do you see the branding opportunities in Latin America with less restrictions and therefore more potential for the Latin American audience?
Yes. I think where Khiron is going to be so effective is Khiron is in a part of the world that is very similar to where Canada was 5 to 7 years ago, or where even the States was 5 to 7 years ago. And so Khiron has first mover advantage. If you look at them, you compare them to, say, a Canopy, they are doing things, they are seeding the market now. They are doing so many things right in terms of social media, medical associations, clinics, communicating with the doctors in all of these countries. And you look at the size of the population that they have to work with, and a population that also relates to herbal remedies. So I believe that they are sitting on so much potential. 680 million people just in the countries that they're currently looking at right now. So you look at that size of population, 68 million medical users of marijuana and CBD. So you look at that market and you think, my goodness, what a great opportunity. And that's what excites me about Khiron. And also the talent that they've attracted. You look at Alvaro Torres. I mean, he is used to, big projects at SNC Lavalin with 2,000 employees. That's not a small business to manage. It shows that the operational skills. They've already got more than 150 people on the ground there now. They've got the ability to grow more efficiently probably than almost anybody. And I think that just positions them perfectly well. And they've already developed their Kuida line, which is in stores and is selling, and certainly has a lot of potential as well. So
great. All right, Joe, that's a great conversation about Khiron. We'll come back to you hopefully in the future and see how it evolves. Thanks for joining me today.
thank you so much.